In this video, we're going to go through on PSLE 2020 paper 1. So if you want to get your free PSLE 10-year series, you can go to easy1.sg/PSLE. So let's get started on the first question. Question number 1. Which of the following is 35,020 in numerals? So 35,000, it's equal to 35 with 3 zeros at the back. 20 will be equal to 20. So that means the answer will be 35,000 plus 20, which is 35,020 in this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. Round 6.785 to 2 decimal place. So if you want to round 2 decimal place, we need to get the digit of the 3 decimal place. Okay, which in this case over here is 1, 2, and 3, 5. So since it's 5, we can round up. So from 6.785, this will then be equal to 6.9 over here. Okay, so the answer is option number 3. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. Which line in the square grid is parallel to AF? Okay, so we can get two rulers or two straight things over here. Okay, so I have my handy dandy make do ruler. So if we want to have A and F, okay, so anything that's parallel to A and F, which is this, and then we get another ruler. Okay, so I'm just going to have this other ruler and make the ruler such that, I mean, you don't resize it, but have it aligned to make an L. So from here, you can see which line is parallel to AF. So let's try for B and E. You can see B and E is not the same. I mean, not parallel. So let's try the other one, which is in this case CD. So we can just put on it, and then we can put here. So you see CD and E and F are parallel to each other. So in this case is option number C, which is, I mean, option number 3, which is CD in this case. So we just have a parallel in this case. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Question number 4. The diagram shows a bookshelf in a school library. Which of the following could be the height of the bookshelf? Okay, so in this case over here, so usually use what you know in real life to measure certain things, right? So for this, you have yourself, right? You have let me put this whole thing over here. So you have yourself, okay? And the thing is that how tall are you right now? So maybe around 1.5. Okay, so let's say this is like 1.5 meters, right? Okay, maybe you're a little bit shorter. I'm not saying as a bad thing, but just maybe a little bit short, something like that. So you're maybe around 1.5 meters. Okay, this thing over here, right? So how what would be the height of the thing? So it can be 1 centimeters, can be 5 centimeters. Can it be 1 meter? Not really, because it will be below you. If it's 1 meter, it will probably be this tall. Okay, this is 1 meter. So don't think so. So the answer to this is 5 meters in this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. PQ and RS are straight lines. Which of the following is true? So let's use a line to tell which is which is straight line. So R and S and P and Q. Okay, so let's go to option number 1. Angle A is equal to angle C. Angle A is equal to angle C. So in this case, is angle A equal to angle C? Is it true or false? Right, the answer is false. Why? Is because angle A, right? Angle A. So reason is that angle, let me see, A, okay, in this case, angle A, it needs to have the, let me add the another one. Let's use the green color angle, right? So okay, the angle in green to be equal to angle C. Okay, let's move to the next one. Angle B is equal to angle D. So next one is angle B is equal to angle D. So is this correct? The answer is yes. The answer is correct. Why? It's because these are vertically opposite angles on straight lines. Okay, so the answer option number two. So we can go to option number three just to see, right? So angle A plus angle D. So angle A plus angle D is 180. So angle D plus angle A, right? So in this case over here, is it equal to 180 degrees? Okay, the answer is no, right? So what is equal to 180 degrees is angle A plus angle D plus the angle in green. In this case over here, the green angle. And this will be 180 degrees, right? So, yeah. Okay, next one. Angle A plus angle C. Angle A plus angle C. Nope. So in this case, I give you the answer lah. But angle A is angle C is equal to 180 degrees? No. Okay, so no. So the answer to this is angle C plus what? Equal to 180. Angle D. Okay, so 180 is equal to angle C. And these are angles on a straight line. Straight line. In this case over here, same goes to the one before as well. Okay, so there you go. So this is how we got the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. In the number line, what is the mixed number represented by A? So let's calculate the number of gaps. Okay, so let's zoom this in. Right, you have 1 gap, 2 gap, 3 gap, 4 gap, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we have 8 gaps, and the two numbers are 2 and 1. So 8 gaps is equal to minus 1 equal to 1. So 1 gap is equal to 1 divided by 8, or the same as 1, which is the same as 1 over 8. So now over here, what is A? So we can just calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So in this case, this will be wait, sorry, not 6, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So in this case, 5 gaps is equal to 5 over 8. So the answer, so A is equal to 1 plus 5 over 8, which in this case over here is equal to 1, 5 over 8, which is option number 4. Okay, there you go. So that's the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. Each figure is made out of 5 identical squares. Which one has a line of symmetry? Okay, so let's look into this. All right, so let's look on option number 1. Okay, option number 1, we just see which one we can remove. Where is the line of symmetry, right? So the line of symmetry, let me put a dotted line, should be around here. So technically, we don't need, right, we don't need this thing over here. So this is wrong. So let me just make this here. So just cancel this. There's no need. So in this case, 1 is not it. Okay. All right, let's move to 2 over here. All right, 2 looks a little bit, but not really. So you can put it here as well. You can't, if you put like this, not really, right? It's a nice design, but it's not really. So in this case, what we can do is we can just have a cross over here. Okay, and then maybe a cross actually over here, and then maybe we have another one that says that this should be the correct one in green. So we see over here, right? And then we just put a tick. Okay, so in this case, this is nope, right? So what about 3? Okay, 3 looks very, very close, but actually we don't need this, right? We don't need this one. So in this case, 2 is not. Okay, and whoops, whoa, what happened? Last one, what about 4? 4, do we have? Or is that an invalid question? No, we have a line of symmetry over here. Okay, so the answer is option number 4, which in this case over here is a tick. Alrighty. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 8. PQRS is a square and PQ is equal to PT. Find TPQ. So for this, first we just want to put the indicator where these two lines are the same. Okay, so in order for us to get the TPQ, which is in red, we need to eventually find, we need to find two other angles, which is I'm going to put in green, which is these two angles, right? So can we find the green angle over here? Yes, we can, because this angle over here, because this is a square, right? The corner over here is a right angle in black. All right, this is a right angle. So angle PQQR is equal to 90. Okay, 90 degrees. Okay, so in order for us to get angle PQT is equal to 90 minus 23, which is equal to 67. Okay, 67 degrees. Okay, so now we know that PQT is 67 degrees over here, right? 67 degrees, put in green. So since they are an isosceles triangle, so in this case, since PQ is equal to PT, right? So that means PQ triangle, PQT is an isosceles triangle. So in order for us to get angle TPQ, this is basically 180 minus 67, and this will give us 180 minus 67 times 2 is 134. Okay, which is equal to 46 degrees. So in this case, it's option number 3. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 9. Mr. Lim had $50. After buying 4 identical ties, he had X dollars left. How much did Mr. Lim pay for each tie? Okay, so in this case, we had $50 and we minus 4 ties, and this will be equal to dollars X. So what we can do is we can just add 4 ties. So we can just plus 4 ties. Okay, in this case over here. And then we also add 4 ties at the other side. Okay, and this will then become X dollars plus 4 ties. So 4 ties is equal to 50 minus X, and 1 tie is equal to bracket 50 minus X. Okay, and then we divided by 4, which is the same as out of 4, right? The fraction. So 50 minus X, right? Out of 4 in this case over here. Okay, there you go. So the answer is option number 2. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. Arrange these distances from the shortest to the longest. 1.52 kilometers, 1 kilometer, 250 meters, and 1, 2 out of 5. So 1 kilometer is equal to 1 times 1000, which is equal to 1000 meters, right? So 0.25 kilometers equal to 0.25 times 1000 equal to 250 meters. So 1.25 kilometers equal to, so we basically convert the the meters, right? 1 kilometer plus and 250 meters. So about 2/5 kilometer is basically 2/5 times 1000, which is equal to 1000, same thing as 1000 divided by 5 times 2. In this case is 200 times 2, which is 400 in this case over here. So let me just format it properly so it's nicely done as what we see over here. So 1/2 is equal to 1 kilometer with 400 meters. So which one is the longest? This is the longest. And which one is the shortest? 205 meters. So the longest, shortest is 1 km, 205 meters, and the longest is this 1/5 kilometer. So question 10 is option number 2 for the correct answer. Let's move on to question 11. In a television guide shown, one program leads to another without any break in between. How much longer is the music program than the sports program? So, music program to the sports program. So, in this case over here for music, right, the length is 10.10 to 11.30. Okay, or yes, right, which is AM, 10 AM to 11:30 AM, which is equal to 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay, so what about sports? Okay, sports over here, it's equal to 11:30, yeah, what is about 30 AM to 12:20 PM, which is and this is equal to 50 minutes. Okay, so how we know that is just 30 plus 50 minutes is 20. Okay, so what is the difference? Okay, so 1 hour 20 minutes is essentially equal to 80 minutes, right? Or 60 plus 20 equal to 80 minutes. Okay, so difference is equal to 80 minus 50, which in this case was my 30 minutes. In this case over here. Okay, there you go. So the answer is 30 minutes. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 12. Okay. So a group of children was asked to choose one fruit from apple to mango, orange, and pear. The table represents the children choices. The children choices were also represented by a graph, but the names of the fruits were not shown. What was the total number of children who chose apple and orange? So let's look at into this. Okay, so let's zoom this in. Let's look at what's the gaps between the two things, right? So there's here there's one and two, so two gaps over here. So what we can do is we can say two gaps is equal to 8, one gap is equal to 4. Next thing is the easiest way is to not match but just get the total. So 24, this is 4, right? So 16, they should be here 20, right? So this is 20, and then this is 16. I'm going to put here 16. It's going to be 8. And lastly, we have 36. Oops. Right, so 36 over here. All right, so now we can get the total from this. So over here, we write down total is equal to 20 plus 36 plus 16 plus 8. So in this case over here, it will equal to 20 plus 36 plus 6. So 36 plus 24. This will be 36, 50, 60, 20 plus 60. Go to 80. In this case over here. All right. So percentages of apple and orange is equal to. So apple is 10 and orange is 25. So this will be 35%. Okay. So now total, right? Total children who chose apple and orange, which is basically 35% times 80 in this case, which is equal to 35 out of 100 times 80. Okay, and it's basically just 35 divided by 10 times 8. Okay, in this case is let's do 35 is 3.5 times 8, which is equal to, so 8 times 5 is 4, and 3 times 8 is 24, so 28. There you go. So yeah, that's it. So that's the answer, 28. Okay, so yeah, the answer is 28. It's option number 1. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 13. Figure 1 shows the rectangular tile with a parameter of 14 centimeters. Figure 2 is formed using five such tiles. Find the parameter of figure 2. So it's not 15 times 5. We need to see this one first. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to draw the different lines in different colors. So this is the red line. Okay, and then the other line is in blue. Oops. Okay, the other line is in blue. That's what you see over here. Okay, so from here, then all you can do is we can just like draw this out. Oops. Okay, so this is one. So is there a better way to? Okay, lah. I'll just put like this, right? Or let me put an arrow instead. Yeah, that's actually a better way. Okay, so let me put it like this and put it like this. All right, so we have one like that. Okay, so two purple line and three purple line. Okay, so we can extend this whole three purple line like this. Okay, and then the red line, right? Then we have one red line. Okay, is from this part, and then two red line as this part, and then three red line and four red line. Oops, four red line like that. And then for the purple part, we can do the same as what we have done earlier. So we can just put this on top, okay? And then the red line will be on top here. Red line will be on top here as well. That's what you see. Okay, so yeah. So yeah. So in this case, we have one, two, three, four, five, six, six. Okay. So two breadth, no length. Yeah. So I'm just gonna say the purple one as length and breadth. Breadth is the red one. Okay. And then the blue one is length in blue. Okay. So 14 centimeter is equal to 2 breadth plus 2 length. Okay. Or I'll just do the other way. Okay. It's 14 centimeters. So figure 2 has how many length and breadth? We can calculate, right? Which is basically 6. 6 length and 6 breadth. So 6 breadth and 6 length. Okay, which is figure 2. In this case, is equal to 14 times 3, which is equal to 42 centimeters. In this case over here. So the answer to this question is 42 centimeters. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 14. A florist had some roses and tulips. She sold one third of the roses and 4/9 of the tulips. 7/11 of the flowers sold were roses. What fraction of the flowers did the florist sell? Okay, so I've drawn the models over here. So this is, if I were to draw like this, these are roses sold and these are tulips sold. So in this one, this is tulips, okay, sold in this case over here, right? So 7 or 11, so this is 7, then this is the remaining 4. Okay, so in this case tulips sold, okay, so we have roses sold is equal to 7 out of 11. Okay, and then we have tulips sold, which is 4. 1 minus 7 out of 11, which is 4 out of 11. Okay, so next thing is, we know that she sold one third of the roses. So one third meaning that, okay, if I were to just draw a, like, oops, like this, the roses sold. So this is one third of here, one third. Okay, so that means the other 2/3 are like this. Okay, so these are roses sold. That means these are roses, you know, that is not sold. Okay, roses left. Okay, and we know that one third of this is how many? 7 units. Okay, 7 units, right? And then for tulips, it says here 4/9 of the tulips are sold. And luckily, in this case over here, this is 4 units. Okay, 4 units, right? And that means this one over here, it's actually the same. So tulips sold, then this will then be tulips not sold. So I'm gonna put this as like that, and this as solid. So tulips sold and tulips left. Okay, which in this case over here is how many? 5 units. Okay, like this. Right, 5 units. Okay, so that means when we draw this, right, um, one third of roses is equal to 7 units. So 3 out of 3 of roses is equal to 3 times 7, which is equal to 21 units. Okay, so then yeah lah. So total flowers is equal to 21 plus 9, which is equal to 30. So fraction of flowers sold is equal to 11 divided by 30 in this case over here. Right, there you go. So that's the answer. Okay, so this case is 7 units, 7 units, and lastly 7 units. Right. All right. So hopefully this model makes sense. Okay, so let's so the answer to this is 11:30. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Question 15. The pupils at a camp are divided into group A and group B. The ratio of number of boys to girls in group A is 5 is to 4. The ratio of number of boys to girls in group B is 5 is to 1. There are 3 times as many pupils in group B as in group A. Which of the following could be the total number of boys in both groups? Okay, so we have group A boys is equal to 5 units. So 5 units are okay. Then group A girls is equal to 4 units. And then group A total is equal to 9 units. Okay. So next one. These groups are different. So we're going to use parts for group B. So group B boys is 5 parts. Group A, Group B girls are 1 part. Then Group B total is equal to 5 plus 1 equal to 6 parts, right? So for this will be 5 plus 4, which is 9 units. Okay, so in this case, it says here Group B. There are 3 times as many pupils in Group B as in Group A. So Group B is equal to 3 times of Group A in this case. So how do we do this? We can use LCM, so lowest common multiple of 6 and 9. Since this is somewhat equal, so this will be equal to 18, right? So that means for group A, so I also want to put a short form. Let B be boys, let G be girls, girls, and let T be total. Okay, so group A, G boy is to girls is to total will be equal to 5 is to 4 is to 4 is to 9. So group B will be, what I call this, boys girls. So 5 is to 1 is to 6 in this case. So actually I don't have to list this whole thing down, but that's fine. Let me just remove this. Okay, so okay, since they are somewhat equal, then we get the lowest common multiple of 6 and 9. Since the total are somewhat equal, we get lowest common multiple of 6 and 9, which is 18. So that means we have to change the ratio for both. Right, in this case. So over here, we will then have times 2 for each, right? Okay, I'll just put times 2, times 2, times 2. This will be 10 is to 8 is to 18, right? And then for this will be times 3. So I'm going to just copy this and paste this. Times 3, times 3, times 3, which is equal to 15 is to 3 is to 18. Okay. And then since group B is equal to 3 times group A, so group B will then be times again, right? So we're going to times this again, right? Would that be 15 is to 9 is to, so no, 45, which is 44 in this case over here. All right, 54, sorry, 54. Okay, so now we have like the final ratio. Which of the following could be the total number of boys in both groups? So we have 10 and we have 5. So group B boys is 45. Group A boys is 10. So 45 units and 10 units. So total boys is equal to 45 plus 10, which is 55 units. So in this case, the answer is 55, which is option number 4. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 16, round 13,845 to the nearest 100. So to round to nearest 100, we need to get the digit in the tens place. Okay, so tens place digit in this case is 4. So that means if since 4 is not 5 or more, we don't round up. So that means 13,845 is equal to 13,800. That's it. Okay, so that's the answer, 13,800. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 17. Write down all the common multiples of 4 and 6 that are smaller than 30. Okay, so we have 4 common multiples of 4 and 6. So 4, let's do it. So this down 4, 8, 12, 18, sorry, 16, right? 24, 32, no, 24, 28. Okay, that's it. Okay, let's go for 6. So 6 is 6, right? 6, 12, 18, 24. That's it, right? So common multiple is 12 and 24. There you go. So that's the answer, 12 and 24. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 18. Find the value of 3 quarter divided by 15. Give your answer as a fraction in the simplest form. So 3 quarter divided by 15, okay, is equal to, right, 3, or this one, 3 quarter divided by 15 out of 1. So you want to convert everything into fraction. Then 3 quarter, okay, times, then we flip it, 1 over 15. Okay, so in this case, it will be 3 out of, so 3 times 1 out of 4 times 15. Okay, then this will become 3 out of 60. And we can simplify this to 1 out of 20. Okay, there you go. So the answer is 1 out of 20. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 19. Devi has $10. She spends 95 cents on a bun and 60 cents on a drink. How much does Devi have left? So 95 cents is equal to $0.95 in this case over here. So same thing with 60 cents. So 60 is equal to 0.60, right? 60 over here. So money left is equal to 10 minus 0.95 minus 60 over here. Okay, so we can combine 10 minus 1.55, which is equal to 9 minus, or 10 minus 1 minus 0.55. Okay, not big but yeah lah. Then this will be 9 minus 0.55, which is 8. Okay, $8.45 in this case over here. Right, so that's the answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 20. The figure is made of equilateral triangles. What fraction of the figure is shaded? So let's zoom this in over here. So what we can do, we can draw some lines. So I have three triangles like this and then another three. So in this case, we can in a way split this up, right? So let's have this like that. All right, so let's put some yellow lines, I guess, or red line, red line, red line. Okay, so I'm just gonna do like this and then do like this and do like this, right? So over here we have equilateral triangles. That's why I see over here. So I'm just gonna put it like that. Okay. So we have this, and then let's just do the same with the rest, but I'm going to reverse it. Okay, that's what I see over here. Same thing. That's what I see over here as well. Right. So now we can combine. So total triangles is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 4. So this will be 16. Okay, and then total shaded triangles, okay, is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So fraction of shaded triangles is equal to 5 over 16. So that's the answer lah. 5 over 16. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 21a. Find the value of the expression when m is equal to 5. So 7m plus 6, okay, is equal to 7 times 5 plus 6, which is equal to 35 plus 6, which is equal to 41. So that's the answer, 41. All right, there you go. So that's the answer. Let's move on to the next question. 21b. Find the value of the expression when m is 5. So 2m minus m out of 9. Okay, in this case. So 2m is 2 times 5 minus 5 over 9. Okay, and this will be 10 minus 5 over 9, which is basically 9 out of 4 out of 9. So 9, 4 out of 9 in this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 23. ABC is an equilateral triangle. Find angle X. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. So each angle in an equilateral, right, triangle is 60 degrees. That's what you see over here. So we're gonna put here 60 degrees. All right, always write down your degrees so at least you understand. Okay, and then we're gonna put here as 60 degrees. Right, so this is 60 degrees. And now with this, we can find angle X. Okay, so angle X is equal to 360 minus 60 minus 65, which is basically 300 minus 65. Oop, beep, boop, beep. This will be 235 degrees. That's what I see over here. So there you go. So the answer is 235 degrees. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 24a. Measure and write down A, the length of the PR to the nearest. Okay, I mean just measure it lah, right? So in this case, let's have our ruler. Okay, so if you want to measure this, you can always put a notch, right? We just put one little notch over here. Okay, so we have one notch and then we have another notch. Okay, so make sure the notch is like really there, right? So like this. Okay, one notch. And then the other notch, we just put it over here. Okay, so let's put the notch over here. Then you can align your ruler to the notches. Okay, just meet to the different notches. And you can see it hits 8 point, in this case 8.2. So the answer is 8.2 centimeters. Okay, there you go. Let's move on to the next question. All right, so we need to measure PQR in this case. Okay, measure right down the size of PQR. So let me get my protractor. Here's I have my protractor over here. So one thing is you can turn your paper so that you have a straight line. Okay. Then after that, you should extend the line as much as possible to the point as what you see over here, right? So at least you are able to get the angle. So now put your protractor towards the point as what you see over here, align it nicely, and then measure it. So this is roughly around 70 degrees. Wow, this is really in the middle of 70 and 71. So let's just say, 70 degrees. Oh, all right. It's close to 110, not 70. Almost made that mistake. So it's 110. So, yeah, just put 110 or 109 if you want, but it's always a good round up. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 25A. The line graph shows the temperature of soup in a pot from 7 a.m. to 7:35. What was the temperature of the soup at 7:30? Okay, so what we can do is we can go to 7:30 over here and then just draw the lines. Okay, it's over here, the red line. Okay, as what I see over here. Okay, then we also need to know what's the gaps, right? Always remember to measure the gaps. So the gaps over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means 4 gaps is equal to 20. 1 gap is equal to 20 divided by 4. And this will give us 5. Okay, so 5 degrees for this temperature. So that means it's 1 degree behind. So that means temperature at 0730 is equal to 100 minus 5 is equal to 95 degrees. Yes, Celsius. C with a big C. So 95 degrees. So I see over here. All right, let's move on to question B. So what was the increase in temperature per minute over the 5 minutes? First 5 minutes. Okay. So we know that one gap is 5. So it's from 20 to 6. So first 5 minutes, right, is increase is equal to 60 minus 20, which is equal to 40 degrees Celsius, right? So let me just highlight like this in red. So this you can see. So 20 and then 20 and 60. That's what I see over here. Okay, so now we have 40 degrees Celsius. We want to know per minute, right? So rates increase in temperature per minute is equal to 40 divided by 5, which is 8 degrees Celsius per minute or forward slash minute lah, right? So we just put 8. Okay, simply. All right, let's move on to next question. What is the percentage discount from the bag shown? Okay, so we have the usual price, which is equal to dollars 60, and then we have the sale price, which is equal to dollars 48. Okay, then that means the discount is equal to 60 minus 48, which is equal to 12. So the percentage discount is equal to 12 over 60 times 100% discount. Okay, so this will be 12 divided by 6 is 1 out of 5 times 100%. This will be 20% in this case over here. So the answer is 20%. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 27. Part 1, the table shows the number of storybooks read by each pupil in a group. Part of the table is covered by an ink blot. There were 45 pupils who read at least 2 storybooks. True or false are not possible to tell. 7 pupils did not read any storybooks. Okay, very hard. No, but very straightforward, right? 7 pupils didn't read any storybooks at all. Okay, in this case over here, this is true. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question part 2. So same thing. There were 80 pupils in the group. So in this case over here, we want to know whether the total is 80. So we know that 45 pupils read at least 2 storybooks. So 45 pupils, okay, so read at least 2 storybooks is equal to 45. Okay, give me the arrow. So the rest or the rest is basically 8 plus 8. Where's my 8? 8 plus 7 is equal to 15. So total pupils is equal to 45 plus 15. Is it 80? No, it's only 60 pupils, right? So therefore, this is false. Okay, there you go. Let's move on to the next one. So the number of pupils who read 3 storybooks was equal to the number of pupils who read 4 storybooks. Okay, so we know that there are 45 pupils who read 2 storybooks. Okay, so in this case, pupils pupils read at least 2, which is 2, 3, or 4, is equal to 45. Okay, so that means pupils who will read at least 3 is either 3 or 4. 4, right? It's equal to 45 minus 20, which is equal to 25. So the number of pupils who read 3 storybooks was equal. Okay, so that means to have equal number of pupils, we need the final number to be even, right? So for example, right, pupils who read 3 storybooks, yeah, I cannot copy and paste. No. Okay, so for example, pupils who read 3 storybooks, okay, or number of pupils who read 3 storybooks is 10. Then number of pupils who read 4 storybooks is 10. So total is equal to 10 plus 10, which is equal to 20, which is an even number. However, in this case over here, right, the pupil who read at least 3 to 4, right, is 25, which is an odd number. Therefore, this is false in this case over here. Okay, so this is false. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 28. A roll of tape has stars and hearts printed in a repeated pattern. Mabel cuts a piece of tape from the roll. In that piece, there are 135 stars. Find the possible number of hearts on the piece of tape. So in this case over here, this is called what we call a repeating pattern question. If you want to find out more, you can go to easy1.sg/blog to learn more about this. Okay, so let's try and solve this. So if you were to zoom in, we need to find the repeating pattern. So we have star, star, hearts. Is this a repeating pattern? Not yet. Then we have another star with another hearts. Then we have star, star, hearts, star, hearts. Okay, so that means over here, right? We have a repeating pattern of this one. Okay, and then wait, this one. And then we have another repeating pattern of this one as well. Okay, so this is what I call the repeating pattern. So for this, the repeating pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So uh, repeating pattern is equal to 5 shapes. Okay, and in these 5 shapes, you have because it's 3 stars plus 2 hearts. Okay, so find the possible numbers of hearts on the piece of tape over here. Okay, so at the same time for the repeating pattern, you want to know the position. So you have 1, and then we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, and we have 5. Okay, so this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so first position is a star. Okay, and then second position is a star. Third position, okay. Third is a heart. Okay, and then fourth is a star. Let me put, okay, fourth position is a star, and then fifth is a heart. Okay, so we see over here, right? Okay, so why am I doing this is because if you know more about the repeating pattern concept, then what we can do is we have 135 stars over here. So what we can do is we can have 135. So 135 and then divided by these stars, right? So we divided by the number of stars over here. Okay, 3 stars in this case over here. Okay, so why we do that is because if we were to say, so for example, if we have 6 stars, that means, right? So that means number of repeating pattern group is equal to 6 divided by, well, it's not times, divided by 2, which is equal to 3. So you see, right? You count, right? 1, 2, 3 stars, 1, 2, 3 stars, right? Pretty straightforward. So now, since we have uh, 1, 3, 5 stars, that means the number of repeating pattern group is equal to 6 stars divided. Oh, sorry, 6 stars divided by 3. Okay, what do I put 2? Okay, 2. All right, so only 2 when you put hearts. Okay, anyway, so since we have 135 stars, so 135, then we divided by 3. So closest to this, if you do the you do the calculations, 40. So 40, 45. 5? 45. Yes, correct. Yeah. Yep. So if I were to do the mental calculation to double check, is basically 120 plus 15 and then divided by 3, which is the same as 120 divided by 3 plus 15 divided by 3, and this will be equal to 40 plus 5, which is 45. Okay, anyway. All right, so find a possible number of hearts on a piece of tape. So we have 45 groups. So number of hearts. Okay, in this case, since we have this, right, which is basically 45. Okay, and then times 2, which is equal to 90 in this case over here. Right, there you go. So that's the answer to this question over here. All right, so let's move on to the next question. The figure shows a square divided into two smaller square, AD, and two rectangles, B and C. So the total perimeter of rectangle B and C is 48 centimeters. The area of square A is 25 centimeters. What's the area of square D? So let me just make this a little bit bigger. So I see over here. So we know A is 25 centimeters square. So that means in this case over here, uh, okay. So to get one side of a square is basically what times what, right? Okay, so in this case, um, I mean, you can guess lah, right? Since square A area is equal to 25 centimeter square, which is also equal to 5 times 5. Okay, pretty straightforward. So since squares has equal sides, dot dot dot. Okay, so now we know that A over here is 5 centimeters, right? So I'm gonna write here 5 centimeters. Okay, so I see over here 5 centimeters for A, and okay, and then 5 centimeters for A as well. In this case, okay, so this also means that the rectangle, one of its sides is also 5 centimeters, and the other rectangle is also 5 centimeters, since they are the same rectangle as well. Okay, so total perimeter of rectangles B and C is 48 centimeters. So that means if I were to just do here, so we also know that this is also 5 centimeters, and this is also 5 centimeters. Okay, that's what you see over here. Da, 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 da. Okay, so that means um for rectangle B and C, they is equal to two length, two length plus two breadth plus two length plus two breadth. Or is it four? Oops, should be. Oh yeah, correct, correct. Two length, two breadth. Yep. Okay, okay. Breadth. So and this is equal to four length and four plus four breadth. Okay, so total parameter. So that means since the one length and breadth is equal to 5 centimeters. So that means 48 centimeters is equal to 4 length plus 4 times 5. In this case, 5 centimeters. So that means 48 centimeters equal to 4 length, not 45, 48. Okay, sorry. Length, Leng, plus 20 centimeters. So 4 length is equal to 48 minus 20 centimeters equal to 28. And then one length is equal to 28. Where's my 8? Divided by 4. This will be 7 centimeters. Okay. So now we know that one length over here is 7 centimeters. In this case over here, okay, 7 centimeters. And we also know that this, okay, is also 7 centimeters. All right. That means this is also 7 centimeters, right? In this case, and this is also 7 centimeters. So I see over here, right? 7 centimeters. So what's the area of square D? So that means one side of square D is equal to 7 centimeters. So area of square D is equal to 7 times 7, which is 49 centimeter square. Okay, there you go. So the answer is 49. Okay, alrighty. Let's move on to question 30A. Okay. A trapezium ABCD and a right angle triangle ABE are drawn on the square grid inside the box. By joining dots on the grid with a straight line, draw another trapezium ABCF such that AF is longer than BC. So what we need to draw is a trapezium. Okay, so let's close this all the way down and let's open this up. Okay, so what we need to do, but either way, what I can do is basically we need to draw a trapezium A, B, C, and F, which is a trapezium. So we want to make sure that the AF is longer than BC. So how do you measure the length of something like this, right? A slanted side. So what we can do is we can actually make this smaller a bit. Oh no, I want my arrow, yeah. Okay, so we can actually measure this and this, right? BC, sorry, the length of BC. So the length of BC is basically one space apart with 1, 2, 3. So here's 3. Okay, so from there we then can create a trapezium. So trapezium need to be parallel, right? So we can just put here, right? So if you want equal side, equal length, it actually is like this. So medium rate like this. But the thing is, we want to make it longer, so we can actually duplicate this, right, and just extend it to the next one like this. There you go. So that's the answer. Then we're gonna put another line to connect the C. So A, B, C, F is here. F. I want to make it black. This is black. Okay, A, B, C, F is this over here. Okay, so this is how you create a length that's longer than this, right? There you go. So that's the answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question B, a trapezium. Okay, same thing, but we need to draw another triangle ABG such that it has the same area as triangle ABE. ABG is ABG. It's the same as ABE. Okay, so for this, yeah, let me just lock this. So we had a trapezium earlier, right? So I'm just gonna copy and paste this over here. So NF is like this. Okay, so how do you measure ABE, which is this thing over here, right? This ABE.